Okay, if you spend any amount of time on YouTube these days, which it seems like everybody does, then you know exactly what we're going to be talking about because the Florida house market is crashing. Or not. We're getting after that next. So as you can tell, there's a lot of people out there that are talking about the Florida housing market crashing. Going to poo in a handbag, just being done. It's over. Tragedy. Sky is falling. All that wonderful stuff. There's a lot of gurus out there that are kind of selling this information back, but what they're actually doing is regurgitating media stories that are in print form and putting it into video and basically doing one thing and one thing only. Trying to get your views. They're not even researching the information to find out what exactly it's saying, why it's saying it, and doing some checks and balances on it. So I did you a favor. We're going to address that real quick. Just some of the things that I'm seeing with these reports and some of the things that kind of counterbalance everything that's being said through the actual data in our MLS. As you know, I try to provide the most accurate information because I know the decisions you're making based on this information could be life-changing. So I want to make sure that we are doing the best that we can to give you solid information and help you to make the best decision possible. Now, with that said, everything that I will be speaking about, it's coming from data that I'm seeing through the MLS. I'd be happy to have a conversation about it with anybody to confirm or deny what they're hearing, but we have to start somewhere, and that's where we're starting today. If this is your first time to the channel and you're looking for more information about moving to the Southwest Florida area, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and like the video, because then you'll have all the future videos shown to you as a priority. And if you'd like to start a home search, instead of using the other systems out there, real quick, I have to tell you, Zillow, Realtor.com, what used to be Trulia, all these websites, they are not there to give you home information. They are there to collect your data, to sell it to people like me, real estate agents. Yes, they actually sell us back our information, and that is not just to one person. It's shared to multiple people. I will tell you, if you use our app, Our Next Florida Home, or you register on the website, ournextfloridahome.com, you will not have your information taken or sold to anyone else. It stays right here with me, so you don't have to worry about getting a bunch of phone calls from a bunch of salespeople. But if you do not get all the information you need through these videos, you've got one more option, actually three. You can call, text, or email, because I do have your back when you're moving to the Gulf Coast. Okay, so I want to start with the foolishness in some of these reports about how the markets are collapsing, the data they're using, and why they're coming up with these stories. Because the data that they're using is a little confusing given what it actually means. First and foremost, when you are in a vacation area, like I think we can all agree Florida is a vacation area. When you are in a vacation area, your vacancy rate is going to be higher because these are second homes. It's not a primary home. And the data that they use for this report is basically vacancy rate and delinquency on a mortgage. We're going to get to that in just a second. Anyway, vacancy rate is always going to be off in any kind of Sunbelt state that has a lot of second homes, a lot of vacation homes. It's just what it is they don't count that home within the stats as being occupied. The other thing is with the mortgage default, it's a 30 to 90 day window of default, and all the cities that they named on these 7 cities in Florida that were in possible trouble, their rate was 0.6% or less. Now, the national average for delinquencies on a mortgage from 30 to 90 days is 3.45%. So we're not even close to even the national average, yet you're going to say that these are the 7 cities that are most prone to have a collapse? Doesn't make any sense, right? On top of that, do you know where this data comes from? It comes from the census. Guess what? In 2020, the last time the census was done, only 60% of the people out there even did the census. So how real are these numbers? It just is not something that I'm willing to jump on board with, especially after I get to what I'm going to tell you about the MLS data that I'm seeing. And everything I'm going to be sharing with you, this is once again why I tell you, you have to check your sources of where you're getting your information. There's a lot of people out there right now, and a lot of them are saying how they know their market. They're the number one team for this or the number one. Look, I'm not going to tell you what I am ranking wise. I'm not here to toot my horn. I'm here to help you get the information you need to make your move to Florida. So some of these guys are out there saying that builders are currently trying to drive down the prices because it doesn't affect them as much. They're willing to take smaller margins on the sale. I'm going to tell you, I know a couple builders and I know them personally. They're not giving up their margins. So I don't know how true this is. I have seen some pricing come down, but we're going to discuss some of the reasons why that could be happening. But let's address first this whole thing about median prices being driven down by the builders. Again, I think that a lot of the reports are either done on a national basis or they're just done as a generalization. Southwest Florida, I went to the MLS and I pulled up the median home price here in Cape Coral on single family homes, and for the last 3 or 4 months we're on an upward trend. So driving down the median price usually means that arrow should be going down, right? So the bars will be going in a lower fashion, not up. That's not what I'm seeing. So whatever those numbers are they're seeing, I don't see it here. I have people contacting me every single day wanting information about either buying a lot so they can build on it, or, hey, what's this one doing? What can I get this home for? The buying is not stopping. And when I see the numbers, I did a pool of information. I normally do it on a 24-hour basis, but I decided to go out a week just to see what's happening. And we're still having, at this point, closer to a 1-to-1 exchange. So for everyone that comes on, every listing that comes on, a property leaves the market either by being closed or by going pending, meaning under contract. Yes, there's been a lot of price reductions as well. So I think what we're seeing when people are talking about prices, median prices going down, maybe what they're talking about is the list price to sale price. I can list a property for anything I choose. And if I want to be realistic, I'm going to probably sell it faster. But you know what? Hey, this market's kind of tight. I might have an opportunity to maximize my return. Not a good plan. If that's something that you bought into because of your agent, you might want to consider talking to them again. That's never good advice. You want to position yourself not as the top place. You want to be lower than the top homes and be fair. As long as you're fair on your end, they're going to be fair when they come with an offer instead of trying to lowball you, right? So with these median prices where I see them still climbing on a regular basis, what I am seeing price-wise is there are a number of homes now that are in the 300s, low 300s even, that weren't there before. And some of these are new construction homes. You have to think about where they're located. Desirability will play a big part. What's one place that you might know about Cape Coral that's not as desirable as the others? Northeast, Northwest. And the reason for this isn't because it's a bad place to live. It's that it's still on well and septic. So with well and septic, once again, it's not terrible. You can get a whole home reverse osmosis, and you're going to probably have better water than what the city gives you. However, right now, we're going through the assessment period, the water and sewer conversion. It's going to start up again. The old number was $19,000 to have that done. They're proposing $35,000 on the new plan, under the new plan. So what that means is all these homes are going to be hit with $35,000 conversion price, and it's going to go on their tax bill. So is it likely or possible that maybe the builder's getting ahead of themselves and lowering their sale price to compensate for that and make it a little bit easier for people to make that decision to buy? Very real possibility. I still believe the desirability factor of being in the Southwest and Southeast is going to keep those prices up. And remember, this is a vacation area, so all these homes can be put into a short-term rental program without any kind of restrictions. So there's still going to be an attraction, whether you're going to use it personally or whether you're going to be an investor who is just trying to make a little bit more of a return on their investment. But it's going to keep this as an attractive thing for people to come into the area to secure a home. All right, so Bankrate is talking about the pros and cons of purchasing a home during a recession. So apparently we're kind of getting to the end of the talk of recession, but since it's out there, let's just address it. So the pros are talking about is you're going to have less competition. You will have possibly better rates because in order to control inflation, they have to drop rates. So even though you see these rate hikes that are going up, it's actually not always affecting the mortgage rate. So I talked to my lender. He says, hey man, we're doing pretty good right now with what the rates are doing. And an additional incentive, most builders right now, and you might even be able to get a seller to do this as well for a resale, is buy down the rate. You can buy down your interest rate to get yourself a better payment. So don't just focus on the sale price and what you're paying for the home. Maybe you redirect your thought process and say, okay, I'm not going to ask for a discount on the house. How about you give me some money towards my rate buy down? Another great strategy, right? Also, the third thing that Bankrate said was reduce prices. And like I said, we did see some reduction in price. I don't know if it's going to be a market-wide thing because the really good homes, they sell very quickly at their original asking price, as long as it's reasonable. Now, the con side, the reasons why you may not want to consider the purchase of a home in a recession or near recession, Bankrate said there are some negatives that you could experience too if you're going to be thinking about purchasing during a recession. And one is stricter lending guidelines, which we can understand that, right? They want to secure their investment with you and make sure that they're going to get paid back. The other thing is economic uncertainty. So you're sitting out there thinking, hey, I've got this money in the bank. We don't know what's going on. We don't know if eggs are going to double again and be $24 next week. So there's a lot of things that are uncertain, but we've seen gas go up and down, and for the most part, yes, food has risen and fallen, and I think it seems to be kind of plateauing a bit. However, that's part of the reason why you may not want to consider a purchase right now in this time. But one thing that they are saying is that if you have a solid financial foundation, this could be an absolutely fantastic time to purchase, because once again, your competition won't be there. The less people that are buying, those sellers still want to sell. They still have a plan to go somewhere. They need somebody to buy that house. That could mean you're able to come in at a lower price and possibly get them to buy down your rate on top of that, and you won't have to fight other people to get it. So if you're one of those people that is solid with your financials right now, this might be the right opportunity for you. All right, so I've talked about new home builders. I've talked about the process and what you're supposed to do. I just learned again another slap in the face that can happen from builders of new homes in the area. Jim and Nancy, they went to a local builder. I'm not going to name the builder because I don't want to throw them under the bus. But what they did is Jim and Nancy wanted to use me to represent them because they know that I will be out taking pictures and video and following up on everything they're told by the builder. And that's my promise to every single one of the buyers out there that put in a new home construction in our area. Anyway, once you register with a builder, and this builder in particular, these folks bought a lot from them 2 years ago. And they sat down and talked about building a home, but they didn't actually build a home. Now they're going back, they want to build, but because they're in their system from signing up 2 years ago, they're forced to have to use the salesperson at the builder. They can't make a change, they can't bring someone else in. So be careful where you put your information. If you're giving an email address, if you're giving a phone number with your names, don't let them tell you, it's so I can give you information. It's easier that way. No, hand me a packet. I don't want to give you my information because I don't want to give up my rights to representation when it's time to build. Because that's what you're potentially doing. These folks, Jim and Nancy, are now stuck there. They're not thrilled with it, but if they want to build that house, that's the way they're going to have to do it. Now, what made that situation a little bit more hairy is the fact that the salesperson is related to the person that runs the building side of things and therefore has some kind of vested interest in it. So once again, I talked to you about having representation so you have a third party that works for you. Don't get stuck working for somebody that's representing the builder and taking care of their interests instead of yours. Florida's known for seafood, and Sun Shrimp Farms is something I just found out about this place. It's absolutely crazy. They're out on Pine Island, and during the hurricane, they had a lot of trouble out there. They lost over 100,000 pounds of shrimp, and they are one of the largest shrimp providers in the world. So it's not even just locally here. But this is why we have so much access to seafood here. The shrimp boats that were down on Fort Myers Beach that got beat up and destroyed, that's only part of our sourcing. This is an actual farm that grows these, and there's some pretty massive shrimp in there. I don't know if you've been to Doc Ford's, but they make a buffalo shrimp down there that is absolutely amazing. So if you go there, order that. Trust me. Anyway, this is also one of the larger employers out on the island. So to see them now almost back to full strength since the storm is a wonderful thing. And that gives you just a little bit more of a peace of mind that you're getting your seafood locally. This is something that I don't like to speak too much to governmental policies and things like that, but this is another one that I support only because it's such a silliness that goes on in our schools and our local governments. But the schools recently have now stated that the children have to use the restrooms that are lined up with their biological identity, not what they want to be. Now, in order to make sure everybody's happy with this rule, they're saying if somebody has a problem with this and wants to use a different restroom, they have to fill out a form that will allow them to have a separate changing quarters or restroom. Otherwise, if you're born a boy, you're using the boys' room. If you're born a girl, you're using the girls' room. Kind of like the way I grew up, and I think most of you grew up. All right, look out, Cape Coral. We have Coral Grove that's going to be coming in the next couple years. I'm not sure what the timeline is yet. This was just announced. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. The Northwest has a lot of space. I've told many of you out there that if you're looking for a growing place, that there's going to be a number of things coming in. The only place we have left to do it is in the Northwest. That Coral Grove is a town center that will have retail shops. It'll have dining. It's going to have residential units out there. So this could be a wonderful opportunity for somebody to live in the same place that they shop and dine. It's going to be a relatively large setup, and it's right next to Bubba's up on Pine Island Road. So it's going to be relatively central to Cape Coral, and it's going to offer a lot more opportunities for folks to go out and dine, shop, and not have to leave Cape Coral to do so. Now, while Cape Coral's having a little bit of a crackdown on the food trucks, they're actually asking a couple of them to have to pack up every night, move their site, and then come back the following day to set up again. Big inconvenience. These people are paying fees to have their units parked there, but that's something that's happened in the Cape. Fort Myers, on the other hand, they've just approved a 7-truck park that's going to be right down on First Street in downtown Fort Myers, and they have a 2-year time frame to be able to submit the plans of how the place is going to look. They have to increase the amount of landscape in the park, and they have to make it very appealing. But again, 7 trucks is going to be the limit there. It's going to give you an opportunity to have a different food source, especially if you're somebody that loves food trucks. All right, so that's a little bit more about the Florida housing market crashing or not. And if you want more information about living in Florida, moving to Florida, specifically Cape Coral or Fort Myers, check out one of these other videos. And if you've got any questions whatsoever that you need an answer to, you've got to call, text, or email, because I've got your back when moving to the Gulf Coast.